my vantage point, of course, I can look at it and say, you're 25. You have lots and lots and lots of time to turn things around. But in her mind, 25 is the oldest that she's ever been. What she got out of it was she has these 2 children. So now what kind of a purpose and meaning does she have in life? To be not just a better person, but to be a good person, so that she can be a good role model to these people that she cares deeply about. And because she started being a better person, she started living more honestly, she started living more forthrightly, she started working harder, she started committing herself, she started doing all of the things that she would want her children to see her doing. And guess what happened with her life? It went way worse. I'm just kidding. It turned around. It got way better. She's dead now. No, it got way better for her. Because you know what you should be doing. You know way better than I know what you should be doing. But sometimes we just need someone to get our minds going to answer the questions that we already know the answers to. We just have to articulate them. There's a difference between having an answer in your head and speaking an answer. And my goodness, writing down an answer. How many thoughts a day do we have? How many words do we speak? Now, how often do we write those things down? The things that we write down tend to become more real than the things that we just think or say. Again, the best time to plant a tree would have been when she was 15, but some people realize it when they're 55, and their answer to it is, well, it's too late now. And then when they're 65, they think, I should have planted it when I was 55. And then when they're 75, they think, damn it, I should have planted it when I was 65. And this is one of the signs of maturity, by the way, is that a person will plant a tree that they will never, ever, ever in their entire life live under the shade of. In other words, you plant the tree not because it's going to benefit you today, but because it's going to benefit others tomorrow. Maybe your family, maybe your friends, maybe complete strangers whose lives are going to be changed because of something you have no idea that you touched them with, like planting a tree or saying something nice to somebody. When she died, they had they had the funeral service for her, and I remember making a comment to the class, oh, Miss Charles' funeral service is going to be at such and such day. Remember, guys, don't miss an opportunity to make it about yourselves. And some people got the joke. Some people understood it, which is that when someone dies, even if we didn't know them, we just kind of clutch our pearls and we're like, oh my God, I knew them. I met them one time in 7th grade, and it was a lasting impression on me ever since. I'm never going to be the same after they died. We have to, and I don't know what to make of that, because on one side of the coin, if you really feel like you got to make it about yourself, then that just kind of tells you that there's some kind of a connection there, I guess. You could say it's just being self-centered, perhaps, but if it is making you feel that way, then it's making you feel that way. You can't control your emotions. If you could control your emotions, they'd be called your reasons. And so if the passing of somebody does affect you that way, it's worth kind of asking yourself, why is it impacting me this way? And you might say, oh, just because you want to make it about yourself. Perhaps, but perhaps the death of a person is the thing that's impacting you. It could have been a person next to you on the street corner for all the difference in the world. In other words, it isn't necessarily just that this person died, it's not necessarily just that you had a relationship with this person, but that their death warns you about something, or makes you think about something about your own life. Bless you. I remember when George Harrison died. He was the guitarist in the Beatles. My dad made a comment about how sad he was about it, and I was just like, oh, you're a fan? I never really listened to him I never really heard my dad listen to the Beatles when I was growing up. And he said, no, I wasn't really a fan, but it's just a reminder that like when he was growing up, all the musicians he listened to all started dying off, which reminded him that he would be dying soon too. Fortunately, all the musicians I listened to were all dead at 27 by now, so I don't have to go through that the same way that he did. But it was just the death of other people can remind us of our own mortality. And the death of other people can also, it's not just, oh, I'm going to die and that's sad, but it's also a lot of you guys are going to experience this, by the way, in very small ways, and you might already experience this in small ways. The death of a person isn't just a reminder about your mortality, it's also a reminder about the meaning of your life. In other words, this person died, what have that means I'm gonna be dead soon. My goodness, what have I done? What have I done to deserve my place on this planet? I was born, but what have I done? What have I accomplished? What have I achieved? And then if you look back on it, you can think to yourself, my goodness, what could I have achieved? I had all this promise. One of the reasons I encourage you guys to hang on to your journals. I have students, former students who I talk to. One I'm thinking of particular that she was 25. So she hadn't graduated that long ago. And she was just going through a really, really rough patch in life. She got with somebody, had a baby, the relationship went very, very badly. He was a musician. And she was just kind of like rethinking a whole bunch of things in her life and thinking like that her life had just turned out terribly. And so from my vantage point, of course, I can look at it and say, you're 25. You have lots and lots and lots of time to turn things around. But in her mind, 25 is the oldest that she's ever been. So she can't see that perspective of I'm relatively young right now, and I can still turn a lot of things in my life around. One of the things that she said was that she looked back at the journal that she had written back when she was in my class, and she wasn't a particularly good student. She didn't write it a whole bunch, but she said that a few of the passages just reminded herself of herself back then. Like, for example, when she would write a few of the passages, she was, for being honest, she was just writing to try to fill up the page just to get credit. And then that reminded her that it would have been just as easy for her to write her real thoughts as for her to write her bullshit thoughts. Oftentimes we brag and we're like, oh, I just bullshitted my way through that assignment. Well, congratulations, I guess. You practiced being a bullshitter. You had an opportunity to actually really develop your thoughts and to actually really put down some things that you were going through. But you chose instead to lie on a page and present yourself falsely, not just to the world, because it's not like I'm going to sit there and go through it and go, oh my goodness, this is who this person really is. They're writing to yourself. And it would be just as easy to write your real thoughts as it is to write your bullshit thoughts. So I guess the question becomes, why would you write the bullshit thoughts? What are you afraid of actually really encountering on that page when you write down who you really are, or what you're really thinking, or what you're really feeling? You're not going to lose points for whatever you write. You're also not gaining points by just bullshitting. It's just as easy to write the truth. And yet, if your default is to write the lie, I guess it's worth asking yourself why that's the case. And so, what reading that stuff reminded her, though, of wasn't just that she had bullshitted on the page just to get credit, but that did spark in her mind a question of like, wow, so I've kind of been like this for a long time, where I've been afraid of encountering and engaging who I really am and thinking about myself. And then that made her think back to when she was in high school. And even though that wasn't on the page, the memories were in her mind about who she used to be. And who she used to be was someone who was, carefree, fun-loving, lots of optimism, believed in herself, believed in her possibilities in the future. And all of those memories of who she used to be just came flooding back, not because of what she wrote on the page, but remembering writing those things on the page caused her to remember everything else that was going on back then. And that's why it's a really good idea to hang on to these. Hopefully you're writing your real ideas and your real thoughts, and it'd be great to look back at yourself when you're 25, 35, 45. One day when you have children, when they're in school, you can tell them, you need to study harder, because when I was in school, I want you to be better than I was when I was in school. Or maybe you can tell them this is who I was, and you can kind of like proudly show them the work that you did. I have a couple of essays that I wrote when I was still in college. I still have that, hang on to them, they're in my desk. And it's good to look back on those things and just kind of remember who we used to be. To remember it's who you used to be, by the way. It's not who you are, it's not who you're becoming, but that was your starting point. And you can ask yourself, at what point did I go veering off the path to become something else? Most people don't wake up in life with tragedy and just kind of be like, where did this come from? I just woke up out of a coma. You can look over the course of your life and see a bunch of the decisions and things that you made. Now, is the life that you're living right now better than the life that you were living a year ago? Or is it worse? Largely, it's going to come down to what your perception is. Like the person I was talking about, her life had gone very south. But she had, I want to say it was 2 children. If I'm not mistaken, she had 1, and then to fix the relationship, they had another one. Because babies tend to fix relationships. You know this? Yeah, if you're having trouble with a relationship, just get pregnant. Things get way better, right? Is nobody going to say no? I hope everybody says no to that. But that's a thing that people do. So what did she get out of it? Well, what she got out of it was she has these 2 children. So now what kind of a purpose and meaning does she have in life? To be a better person, to be not just a better person, but to be a good person, so that she can be a good role model to these people that she cares deeply about. And surprise, surprise, she started doing that. And because she started being a better person, she started living more honestly, she started living more forthrightly, she started working harder, she started committing herself, she started doing all of the things that she would want her children to see her doing. And guess what happened with her life? It went way worse. I'm just kidding. It turned around. It got way better. She's dead now. No, it got way better for her. And it wasn't just because, what it had to do with was that it was a commitment on her own part to start doing the things that she knew to be right. She didn't ask me, geez, Scanlon, what do you think I should be doing in my life? Well, she did, but I very rarely ever answer those questions. I just ask you a bunch of questions to help you figure out what you should be doing. Because you know what you should be doing. You know way better than I know what you should be doing. But sometimes we just need someone to get our minds going to answer the questions that we already know the answers to. We just have to articulate them. There's a difference between having an answer in your head and speaking an answer, and my goodness, writing down an answer. That those are varying levels of realness. So once we can think, how many thoughts a day do we have? How many words do we speak? Now, how often do we write those things down? The things that we write down tend to become more real than the things that we just think or say. And so, in that case there, she turned herself around because she figured out what was the right thing to do. Now, the situation that she was in, was it good or was it bad? Yes. Yes. Because the situation that she was in was bad, but that's the thing that caused her to start doing things well. If she hadn't encountered that, all that negativity in her life at that point, she wouldn't have had a catalyst to drive her and make her to do good. In other words, if everything is just kind of like smooth sailing, we'll just keep doing what we've always done. And by her own estimation, she wasn't doing what she knew she should be doing. She wasn't doing what she wanted. She wasn't being the role model that she wanted her children to see. So then, of course, she came to realize, wow, I wish I had just been this person all along. Then my children would have seen me be this person all along. And then I would have had to, have all those years of challenge and difficulty. And my answer to that was, well, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. If you planted a tree 20 years ago, you'd be eating apples today. But the second best time to plant that tree is today. And you never would have planted the tree if you didn't realize there was a need for it. And sometimes you have to go through difficult times just to realize the need for something. If everything is always just smooth, then you never have a reason to improve. And imagine if she hadn't gotten to 25. Imagine if she'd gotten to like 35 or 45 or 55 before she realized there was a need to change. Again, the best time to plant a tree would have been when she was 15, but some people realize it when they're 55, and their answer to it is, well, it's too late now. And then when they're 65, they think, I should have planted it when I was 55. And then when they're 75, they think, damn it, I should have planted it when I was 65. It's never too late to plant the tree. And one of the values of planting a tree, and this is one of the signs of maturity, by the way, is that a person will plant a tree that they will never, ever, ever in their entire life live under the shade of. In other words, you plant the tree not because it's going to benefit you today, but because it's going to benefit others tomorrow. You just plant it. But the thing will never grow by the time you're dead. You'll never get to hang out under its shade. Yeah, but others will. Maybe your family, maybe your friends, maybe complete strangers whose lives are going to be changed because of something you have no idea that you touched them with, like planting a tree or saying something nice to somebody. Sometimes we have to get yelled at because that's the thing that maybe will make us realize that we have to change direction on something. And that doesn't mean we have to live under the condemnation of it, but we wouldn't have realized that we did something wrong unless we get yelled at. Sometimes we get into a car accident, we don't realize that we need to slow down. It might be like, oh my God, I can't believe I got into this accident. That accident might have saved your life. Because imagine if you hadn't gotten into that accident Tuesday. Maybe you'd have been speeding Wednesday and you'd have been killed in that accident. Or maybe you'd have killed others. So are the situations good or are they bad? Yes. Yeah. They're good if they change you for the better, if they help you to, not even necessarily change, but if they just help you to improve. Yeah. Yeah, they just help you to improve. And then they're bad if they don't, or if they make you worse. And they're bad especially if they make you worse. You know? You go through a breakup because someone cheats on you. What's the proper response to that? Men ain't shit. Bitches ain't shit. And now you're jaded. Now you're angry. And now you're going to treat people very badly. So now you've responded to that situation very badly. You've taken something that someone did to you and you've compounded that wickedness in the world. Or you can look at it and say, wow, I don't want to be that person. I'll never be that. It happened to me, so therefore I won't do it. I don't want to bring that kind of pain into the world in somebody else's life. And in that case there, you use it for good. A lot of times situations are not good or evil. What's good and evil is how we respond to it. People are not disturbed by the things that happen to us in our lives, but by the view that we take of them. This car accident's terrible. It's going to make my insurance rates go up. I need to slow down. I am driving too fast and recklessly. I need to be honest with myself. I might think I'm a great driver, but even if I am, maybe other people around me are not, and I need to take that into consideration and be a better driver. Wow, I got sick. That's what we had, right? Sick? I got sick, and I'm dying. There's nothing good about that. In fact, that's kind of the tragedy of life, that we're born, no matter how long life is, it's too short, and then we die, it'll never be remembered. Actually, you know what? I'm part of nature, and it's part of nature for death to happen. And if nothing else, at least it helps me to realize I'm part of this cosmic thing called life. Okay. Well, no more suffering. Or better yet, maybe now I can help others who are going through these things, because I can relate to them. It's one thing to encounter a person who's going through something tragic and say, there. I hope that, you know what? Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers are with you. You walk away. It's another thing if you've been there before. I've been there before, or I'm going through it right now. And so now you can be there for the person in a completely different way. Which of those 4 approaches is the correct one? I'll let you figure that out. Because I don't know. That's what I'll tell you when I don't know the answer. I'll let you figure it out. You need to find your own solution, find your own answer. So, by the way, true. Easier said than done in a lot of ways. But just because something is hard doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. In fact, that's probably a good indication that we should be doing it. The easy stuff is probably not worth doing. The difficult stuff is probably the stuff that makes us better. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?